Bismillahirrahmanirrahim and Assalamu alaikum, all my dear students. I hope you are in good health. Today we are going to start up with the development of limbs. We had an overview. Yesterday I gave you an overview and outline how do the limbs develop from the limb buds and which week and which layers are going to contribute to the formation of limbs, upper limb and lower limb. This is important because it just came in the recent supplementary exam to describe the development of upper limb. So it is important. And the anomalies of limbs are very important. It is a commonly asked question. So we are going to start. We are going to revise first and then we are going to move further. So we just did yesterday that at the end of the 4th week of development, limb buds appear as outpocketing from the ventrolateral body wall. You can see outpocketing from the ventrolateral body wall. Upper limb bud or the interior limb bud or forelimb bud, posterior limb bud, lower limb bud or the hind limb bud. The upper limb bud appears opposite C5 to T2 and it appears on day 27th. While lower limb bud lags behind 1 to 2 days, it appears about 29th day and it appears at the level of L2 and S2, sacral vertebrae S2. Forelimb appears first and it is followed by hind limb 1 to 2 days later. Initially, each limb bud is composed of mesenchymal core derived from the parietal layer of lateral plate, somatic layer of the lateral plate mesoderm. And it is covered by on the outer surface by ectoderm. And you well know that ectoderm is going to form the skin of the limb, while the mesenchymal core is going to contribute towards the bone, muscles, and cartilage. So each limb bud is composed by inner core of mesenchyme, and it is covered on the outer surface by ectoderm. Ectoderm at the lateral distal border of the limb thickens to form a region known as apical ectodermal ridge. This is specialized ectoderm and it is highly important. AER region or apical ectodermal ridge. You can see in electron microscope picture. The inner one is a mesenchyme, outer it is covered by layer of ectoderm, and ectoderm as at the distal end of the limb thickens to form AER, apical ectodermal ridge. And what is this ridge and why is it important? We are going to study now. Just close to the apical ectodermal ridge, the mesenchyme just beneath the apical ectodermal ridge, it remains undifferentiated. While the mesenchyme away from this ridge, it is going to differentiate and it is going to develop into hyaline first cartilages, which are then going to ossify and give you bones. So under the influence of the apical ectodermal ridge, the mesenchyme just adjacent to the ridge remains undifferentiated, while the mesenchyme away from this ridge rapidly proliferates and it is going to differentiate into cartilage and bones. The cartilage are going to ossify and give you bones, and the rest of the mesenchyme is going to differentiate into muscles. So this is the limb bud composed of mesenchyme and covered on the outer surface by ectoderm. Ectoderm at the distal end is going to thicken to form AER, and mesenchyme just beneath or close to this AER remains undifferentiated, while the mesenchyme away from it, it is going to differentiate into cartilage, and these cartilage are then going to ossify and give you bones, or bones of the upper limb and bones of the lower limb. As a limb grows, cells further from the influence of AER begin to differentiate into cartilage and later bones and muscles. In this manner, development of each limb proceeds proximo-distally. So the development is going to proceed from proximal region to distal region, away from the limb bud. So 3 components are going to develop: stylopoid, zygopoid, and otopoid. These 3 components are highly important. You can see in the developing limb now, 3 parts are developed, 3 components are developed: stylopodium or the stylopod, zygopodium or the zygopod, otopodium or the otopod. The stylopoid is later going to differentiate into the bones of the upper limb and lower limb, humerus in the upper limb and femur in the lower limb. Zygopod is going to differentiate into radius and ulna in the upper limb, while tibia and fibula in the lower limb. While the otopod is going to differentiate into carpals, metacarpals, and digits in the upper limb, tarsals, metatarsal, and digits in the lower limb. So this is the developing upper limb: stylopoid, zygopoid, and otopoid. Stylopoid is the most proximal portion. It is going to differentiate into humerus in the upper limb. Zygopoid is going to differentiate into radius and ulna in the upper limb, while otopod is going to differentiate into carpals, metacarpals, and the digits. By the 6th week of intrauterine, this all was happening in the starting from the 4th week and this is going to go into the 5th week. By 6th week of intrauterine life, terminal part of the limb buds flattened to form hand and foot plates. Now the buds are going to flat out and they're going to form flattened plates known as hand plates in the upper limb, foot plates in the lower limb. And the presence of the fingers and the digits can be seen as digital rays, but they are interconnected. There are no spacing. You know, your fingers are free. There is space between one finger, two finger. You have webs and spaces. But till then, in the foot plates and hand plate time, you can just see digital rays. Later on, by the end of the 6th week, fingers and toes, fingers in the hand and toes in the feet are formed by apoptosis. Apoptosis is a programmed cell death that occurs in the AER and separates the digital rays into 5 parts, into definitive fingers and toes. So here's a gradual change that occurs. Limb buds develop by end of the 4th week. Then by 6th week, you can see paddle-like hand and foot plates. And in this hand and foot plate, digital rays appear. But they are interconnected by mesenchymal tissue between them. Later, this mesenchymal tissue is going to disappear by a process known as apoptosis, also known as programmed cell death. So fingers and toes are formed when the cell death in the AER separates these ridges. Further formation of digits depend on the continued outgrowth under the influence of the 5 segments of ridge ectoderm, condensation of the mesenchyme to form cartilages, and death of the intervening tissues between these rays. This tissue is going to degenerate and give you your fingers. So this is what is happening in the upper limb, and this is happening in the lower limb. In the 6th week, you can see foot plate in the lower limb and hand plates in the upper limb region. Then a circular constriction is going to develop, and then the fingers and toes are going to be formed by the process of apoptosis. The mesenchyme between these fingers and toes is going to disappear and give you this free fingers in the hand and toes in the feet. So this is a general overview of the development of limb. First of all, by the end of the 4th week, you have this limb bud, upper limb bud and lower limb bud. Upper limb bud appearing by 27th day, lower limb bud lagging behind by 1 to 2 days. About 29th day it is going to appear. Then you have paddle-like hand and foot plate by 6th week, and a constriction develops between the developing arm and the developing hand, developing leg and the developing foot. Later on, digital rays can be seen, and then the process of apoptosis or cell death is going to cause degeneration of mesenchyme between the digital rays to degenerate and give you fingers in the hand and toes in the foot. So you can say the development of limbs from limb bud to paddle shape stage, then to formation of digital rays, then to formation of proper fingers and toes. The 4 cellular processes are involved to promote the limb formation. First of all, there is cell division, which promotes the growth of the limb. Then there is cellular migrations. The cells are going to migrate and reach to their correct positions. And then there is cell differentiations. The hyaline models are going to form, which are going to then differentiate into bones. The rest of the mesenchyme is going to give you muscles. And then here is an important phenomena, apoptosis, cell death. Cell division, cell migration, cell differentiation, along with cell death is highly important. If this process does not take place, your fingers are going to be joined, not free to move. Your hand is a very important, I can say it is an organ, very important organ. You hold, you clutch, you do so many things with your hand. And this is because there is apoptosis, cell death between these intervening digital rays, which are going to result in mobile free fingers. If this apoptosis does not take place, your fingers are going to be joined, and this is going to result in congenital anomalies. So now coming on to the 7th week of intrauterine life, starting from the 4th week, now we have jumped on to 4th week mein bana your limb bud, but then by 6th week you have the paddle-like foot and hand plates. By the end of the 6th week to the start of the 7th week, you have formation of your fingers and digits. Now by 7th week, and a very important phenomena is going to take place. By 7th week of gestation, the limbs are going to rotate, and the limbs are going to rotate in opposite direction. That is, the upper limb is going to rotate 90 degrees laterally, while the lower limb is going to rotate 90 degrees medially. And what are the impacts or consequences of this rotation? As a result of 90-degree lateral rotation, your thumb in the upper limb is on the lateral side, and the extensor muscles lie on the posterior aspect. While in the lower limb, rotation occurs 90-degree medially. So as a result of this 90-degree medial rotation, you see your big toe is lying on the medial side, and the extensors are lying on the interior surface. So you can see 90-degree lateral rotation, and the thumbs are going to point out laterally, while in the legs 90-degree medial rotation, and the toes are going to be present on the medial side. Now we did it last time in the development of skeletal system as well. How do the bones of the limbs are going to ossify, and how do the limb bones, appendicular bones, form? Now by the end of the 6th week, the mesenchyme in the limb buds condenses, and by the end of the 6th week, hyaline cartilage models are formed, and these hyaline cartilage models are going to correspond with the shape of the bone, into which the bone is the adult shape of the bone into which the bone is going to ossify. And first, the primary centers are going to appear for the diaphysis, center of the shaft, and they are going to be formed till the 12th week of intrauterine life. But at birth, diaphyses are completely ossified, while the epiphyses are still cartilaginous, and epiphyseal growth plates are going to allow the growth and increase in the length of the bones till the growth plates are ossified by age of puberty. And first epiphyseal centers are going to appear. First diaphysis centers are going to appear in the diaphysis. Later the centers are going to appear for the epiphyses, which are the ends. And later these are going to ossify completely. And the places where the bones are going to meet, there is chondrogenesis is arrested, and these are going to result in the formation of your joints. We have studied this in the previous lectures. So at birth, diaphyses are completely ossified, but the two ends epiphyses are still cartilaginous. A temporary cartilage plate remains between the epiphyses and diaphyses. This plate, known as the epiphyseal growth plate, allows the growth of the length, growth in the length of the bones. Endochondral ossification proceeds on both sides of the plate. When the bone has acquired its full length, the epiphyseal plate is going to disappear, and the epiphysis is going to fuse with the diaphysis, and the remains of the epiphyseal growth plate is going to be marked by epiphyseal lines. In long bones, the epiphyseal plate is formed on each extremity, on each end. However, in the small bones, such as phalanges, they are found only at one extremity. And in irregular bones such as vertebrae, one or more primary centers of ossifications are there, and there are usually several secondary centers of ossification. So this is the previous picture you have seen, hyaline cartilage model, then primary centers of ossification appearing in the diaphysis, middle of the shaft, and blood vessels bringing in osteogenic cells, osteogenic processes going on. Then secondary centers are going to appear in the ends, known as the epiphysis. Epiphysis and diaphysis are going to be separated by hyaline epiphyseal growth plates. So this is also this ectoderm on the outside, limb bud, upper limb bud, ectoderm on the outside. Inside you can see mesenchyme. Mesenchyme is condensing. Then you have apical ectodermal ridge. Away from this apical ectodermal ridge, the mesenchyme is going to differentiate first into hyaline cartilage model, and then these cartilage models are going to ossify and give you bones of the upper limb. So how do the limb muscles develop? This is also a previous revision we did in the development of musculature. So limb muscles are derived from the cells of the somites, which migrate into the limbs to form the muscles. And initially these muscles components are segmented according to the somites from which they are derived. However, once the limbs are going to elongate, the muscle tissue splits into flexor and dorsal components. And then the additional splitting and fusion occurs, and then each single muscle may be formed from one or more original segment. Resulting complex pattern of muscle is determined by the connective tissue derived from the lateral plate mesoderm. So the muscles are derived from the cells of the somite that migrate laterally into the limb buds. Initially, they are segmented according to the somite from which they are derived. However, with the process of elongation, the muscle splits into two components, dorsal and the ventral, the flexor and extensor component. And by fusion and more splitting, each muscle cell, single muscle cell, can be formed from more than one original segment. So neural tube, notochord, developing somite, the cells from the somite migrating into this limb bud, and they're going to form the muscles. And you know, we have done apexial muscle and hypaxial muscles. Hypaxial muscles are the ones which are going to be supplied by the ventral primary rami. You know, in the limbs, the, you know, brachial plexus in the upper limb is formed by only by the ventral primary rami. So limb muscles are supplied by ventral primary rami of the spinal nerves. Innervation. Upper limb bud, you know, forms opposite the lower 5 cervical and upper 2 thoracic segments. And the lower limb bud lies opposite the lower 4 lumbar and the upper 2 sacral segment. As soon as the buds form, ventral primary rami from the appropriate spinal nerve penetrate into the mesenchyme. At first, each ventral ramus enters with the dorsal and ventral branches derived from its specific segment, but soon these branches are going to, they branch in their respective division and begin to unite and form large dorsal and ventral nerves. So first, these limb buds are going to supply by ventral primary rami, which are going to further divide and give you nerves. Radial nerve, you know, supplies the extensor musculature, is formed by combination of dorsal segmental branches, whereas ulnar and the medial nerves are, which supply the flexor musculature, are formed by combination of the ventral branches. Immediately after the nerves have entered the limb bud, they establish an intimate contact with the differentiating mesoderm. So the early contact between the nerve and the muscle precursor cells is a prerequisite for the complete functional differentiation. And it is required for the functioning of the muscle, the contact between the nerve and the developing muscle. Spinal nerves not only play a role in a differentiation and motor innervation of the limb musculature, but they also provide sensory innervation to the dermatome, to the skin as well. Although the original dermatomal pattern changes with growth and rotation of the limbs, but an orderly sequence can still be organized. You have seen the dermatomes of the upper limb, they are organized. So now coming on to the molecular regulation of the limb. In the molecular regulation, you must know what are the genes that control the specification for the upper limb and the lower limb, and what are the genes which control the positioning of the limbs. So the positioning of the limbs along the craniocaudal axis is controlled in the embryo by the Hox genes. And it is expressed from head to toe. So Hox genes are important for the positioning, from the craniocaudal positioning of the limb. While specification for the upper limb, for the forelimb, is controlled under the regulation of the TBX5 gene, while TBX4 gene is going to control the specification for the lower limb or the hind limb. Other important genes that regulate the limb growth are the fibroblast growth factor 10, which is secreted by the lateral plate mesodermal cells. And once outgrowth is initiated, BMPs are expressed and they induce the formation of the AER. So BMP, sonic hedgehog, and fibroblast growth factors are also important for the formation and lengthening of the limb buds.